Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to have you here with us. Today we are going to talk about a topic that is very present in today's society, anxiety in modern life, and how Theosophy can bring reflections and paths to help understand and face this challenge of our time. If this kind of reflection resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel and supporting the work with a like. It helps this content reach people who are also searching for deeper understanding and conscious growth. We live in the most technologically advanced era in human history. We can communicate instantly across the planet. We can access more information in one day than previous generations accessed in years. We can automate tasks that once consumed entire lifetimes. And yet, anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and chronic mental overload are increasing globally. This creates a paradox. External progress accelerates. Internal stability often weakens. Theosophy suggests something profound. Human suffering is not only external, it is deeply connected to how consciousness relates to the mind and personality. Modern anxiety may not only be psychological, it may be a crisis of consciousness development. The Theosophical view of the human being. In Theosophy, the human being is understood as a multidimensional structure of consciousness. Within this structure, there are different levels that work together and influence how we think, feel, and respond to the world. At the most concrete level, we have the physical body, which is responsible for survival and for our sensory interaction with the environment around us. Next, we find the emotional nature, where desires, fears, attachments, and impulses emerge and shape much of our daily reactions. Then we have the lower mind, which operates through comparison, immediate reaction, practical analysis, and psychological defense mechanisms. Above this level is the higher mind, associated with deeper reflection, ethics, long-term vision, and the ability to understand the broader meaning of our experiences. And finally, there is the deeper spiritual consciousness, connected to the perception of unity, existential purpose, and the interconnection between all beings and life as a whole. One of the major challenges of modern civilization is that it tends to overstimulate the emotional level and the more reactive aspects of the lower mind. At the same time, it rarely creates space to strengthen the higher levels of consciousness, such as deep reflection, sense of purpose, and inner connection. This imbalance creates a constant inner tension in people. And over time, this continuous internal tension can manifest as deep anxiety, a sense of emptiness, and difficulty finding emotional and mental stability. The lower mind and digital civilization. The lower mind is necessary. It plays a fundamental role in our survival. It is the part of us that calculates risks, interprets signals of danger, and allows quick reactions in threatening situations. The problem is not the existence of the lower mind. The problem begins when our consciousness becomes trapped almost exclusively at this level of functioning. Modern digital civilization constantly stimulates this state. We live surrounded by continuous notifications, fast emotional cycles driven by media, identities built through social comparison, and a permanent pressure for performance and validation. In this environment, the brain rarely enters deep recovery states. The nervous system remains on alert most of the time. And when this state of alert becomes permanent, it stops being protection and starts turning into chronic anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and difficulty finding inner balance. Witness consciousness and inner freedom. Theosophy teaches that within us there is the ability to observe our own thoughts. This ability is known as the observing consciousness. When this awareness begins to develop, something changes deeply in the way we experience our inner world. You begin to notice thoughts arising, but you are no longer completely controlled by them. You continue to feel emotions, but you are no longer defined by them. Gradually, a space begins to appear between stimulus and reaction, a space where it becomes possible to choose instead of simply reacting automatically. And it is exactly within this space that something essential is born: inner freedom. The freedom not to be dominated by immediate impulses, the freedom to respond with awareness, clarity, and purpose. The illusion of separateness. One of the central ideas of Theosophy is that separation, as we usually perceive it, is partly an illusion. On the surface, modern society constantly reinforces the sense of separation through competition, social comparison, and the construction of identities based on external differences. However, deeper levels of consciousness experience something different, a sense of connection, interdependence, and unity with the life around us. When consciousness perceives itself as isolated, disconnected from others, and from a deeper sense of belonging, fear tends to increase. And when this fear becomes constant, it often manifests as anxiety, insecurity, and a persistent sense of vulnerability. Understanding this dynamic is an important step toward developing a broader perception of reality and building a more balanced relationship with ourselves and with the world. Karma as mental and emotional conditioning. In Theosophy, karma is understood as a principle of cause and effect with an educational purpose, a continuous process of learning and evolution of consciousness. Repeated thoughts over time create emotional tendencies. These emotional tendencies begin to influence the way we perceive reality. Perception, in turn, shapes behavior, and behavior, repeated over the years, eventually shapes the course of our lives. In this sense, modern anxiety often reflects accumulated mental and emotional conditioning, patterns of thinking, reacting, and interpreting reality that have been reinforced almost automatically over time. But Theosophy also teaches that conditioning is not permanent. It can be understood, worked through, and transformed. When we develop awareness of our internal patterns, we create space for new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting, and with that, new possibilities of experience and life. Practical Theosophical application. The practical application of Theosophical principles begins with small changes in daily life. The first step is learning to observe your own thoughts without reacting to them immediately. This simple practice already creates more space for awareness and reduces automatic responses. Another important aspect is reducing unnecessary stimuli. Not all information needs to be consumed, and not every reaction needs to be immediate. It is also essential to create daily moments of silence, moments when the mind can slow down, reorganize, and restore balance. Over time, it becomes possible to rebuild your identity based on inner awareness rather than external validation, social comparison, or environmental expectations. Emotional and mental stability does not appear instantly. It grows slowly, but in a solid and sustainable way, strengthening the sense of inner balance and clarity of purpose. Anxiety is not always a personal failure. Very often, it is a signal that consciousness is being overloaded, both by excessive external stimuli and by automatic identification with internal thoughts and emotions. Theosophy invites us to remember something essential. You are not your fear. You are not the mental noise. You are the consciousness capable of observing all of it. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This helps this space continue to grow and reach more people who are seeking depth, clarity, and inner evolution. True inner evolution begins when consciousness becomes stronger than reaction.